Hello and welcome back to another podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV with myself, Max.
Me, Sam.
And in tonight's episode, a man who needs no introduction now to the channel. He's been on several times, but we'll introduce him anyway. Pete the Potter. Welcome back, Pete.
Hello, and thanks ever so much for the invite. And
Mate, it's a
it's
pleasure.
a pleasure to be here to see you two guys again.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and we appreciate your sporting knowledge, your football knowledge. Right. Anyway, before we get into it, today's show is sponsored yet again by Match Bingo. Now, if you don't know what Match Bingo is, just imagine sports meets bingo and they get it on and out comes this fantastic bingo style football thing. Now, if you, there's a link in the description and there is a QR code in the corner. If you're gonna have a go, it's over 18s only, UK only. But if you're gonna have a go, right, use those links because then they know that you've gone through us. And you know, if you have a go, then that'll help the channel. All right, because we're sponsored by them. So that's all I'll say. If you don't know what it is, check it out. All right. Okay. Right, on with tonight's show. Now, tonight's show, obviously, we've just come off the back of a walloping against Leeds, in case you didn't know, in case you missed it. And we're going to be going through why. Why did we get hit for six? Literally, Ben Stokes plays for Leeds, and he come in and he walloped us over the boundary for six. Not much fun. So we're gonna talk about that, I think, to start with, and then we'll go from there. Right. Okay. So who wants to kick us off with what went wrong against Leeds, or probably what didn't go wrong, or was there anything that went right at all? I don't know. Right. Okay. Who wants to start?
It, I thought it was a really strange performance, and it was almost like something had happened before the game, or there'd been something going on in the changing room, and they just either didn't want to be there, or there was something else impacting them mentally.
Hmm.
And I'm sure nothing happened beforehand. I don't think they were intimidated on the way into the stadium or anything like that. I just think they just got overawed. The vast majority of the players got overawed by what must have been a crescendo of noise, all four sides of the stadium, um, and they just couldn't perform on the night. They're almost like stage fright. It's like they were on stage, and suddenly they realised where they were and how many people were looking at them, and it is worrying. For any of the players who are going to stay on in the future. I've no like you two have no doubt written words like sloppy, unprofessional, frightened, but there was just something not right about them right from the first minute, and of course it was all over in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was too right. It was all over in the first 20 minutes. Sam, did you watch the game? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Leeds tore us a new one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Basically, to put it in simple terms, it reminded me a bit of Portsmouth away. Full stadium,
Mm.
loud fans all round. Nerves got to them maybe, but Leeds had the game sealed and done within 10 minutes. And that must have been a massive shock to the system, to the players. And they just couldn't respond, could they? Leeds were very good. You have to give it to them. Leeds were very good, but Stoke were really bad.
Well, well, listen, do you remember the Leicester game last season at the Bet365 when Leicester come and absolutely thumped us and looked like a Premiership team playing someone down bottom of the Championship? And that's exactly what the Leeds game looked like, didn't it? They were on it from the
Yeah.
get-go. Their
The-
intensity
yeah.
was ridiculous. They were so intense. The press from Leeds
Mm.
was outrageously good. Our press was non-existent. We couldn't find a way to play through that press. And how well did they use their fullbacks? How well did they
Well,
use
I
them?
mean, they'd obviously done their research, Max, because they targeted both sides, but our left hand side in particular, and I think they knew that we were weak, very weak down that side. But you're right about their intensity. It was unbelievable, and it was almost like they were playing on a slope pitch, and the ball just kept on coming back to us. But we just couldn't. Even when we got the ball, we didn't know who to pass it to, and it was within seconds. It was back with a player in white.
I've played in matches, obviously not to that level, but I've played in university matches where we've gone away and played a team that are just so much better than us, and it's horrible. It's like doing the bleep test, and every now and then you get a break because they score. And it felt like that, and especially in that first half for Stoke against Leeds, because they were just on it. Now, I mean, if we can, was there was there anybody in that first half that really had a decent heart? It's hard to say because they just looked a yard, if not 2 yards quicker. They just did, didn't they? And they pulled Stoke from left to right. They again their fullbacks just demolished us. Beijing Ho on one wing and Million on the other. Just
Yeah.
they were nowhere to be seen when the fullbacks were bombing on. I just want to. I know I might get flack for this, but people have been slating Esbrand, haven't they? Left back. They were slating him.
They have, yeah.
But I mean, to come back in that game when you've been out for X amount of games and be
cheers, boss.
Yeah,
cheers, boss,
yeah.
for that.
Cheers for that. And come back in and be up against two of the best wingers in the league and their mates at fullback as well. Not much fun. And to be fair, he did get torn apart.
I mean, we changed the back five, didn't we, in the second half? And maybe he should have started with the back five. But it's always in hindsight, it's always easier to say, well, we should have done that. But sometimes, the best form of defence is attack, but that was non-existent. I thought Al-Hamadi didn't look right, but also his head wasn't right. I don't know whether you saw when he came off. Something happened in the dugout. Just, where the players sit when they're taken off.
I saw that.
Something happened. You saw some shouting. I'm surprised something hasn't happened. I don't know whether he was having to go at a fan behind or a fellow player or a coach, but I'm surprised nothing's come out of that because he just did not look happy when he came off. Maybe it's just because he came off, but obviously think we missed Sam Gallagher. So that's one note I've made. Do I blame the kids? I don't, and I know Ashley Phillips had his worst game ever for Stoke.
Yeah.
Junior wasn't much better, but I don't blame them. If a manager's going to put kids in to these big matches, then there's always a risk that they're going to just come a cropper. And some people say, well, if they're good enough, they're old enough, and all that stuff. But I think it was just too much, and God forbid should they put in a bit more experience at the back. I'm not a huge fan of Gibson, but he certainly calmed things down in the second half. Or did Leeds just take their foot off the pedal? Probably both.
Yeah. Sam, manager's fault or player's fault for that result?
Neither. I think Leeds were always going to batter us. It was a party atmosphere at Leeds. I never once thought that we were going to get anything at Leeds. Can't blame the manager. Probably, if you were going to put any blame on anything, you'd have to put some slight blame on the players because they're the ones that are on the pitch. But you can't blame the manager. Questionable about Wilson Esbrand at left back. Yeah, he was absolutely shocking. Was it his fault he was absolutely shocking? Maybe not, because he got absolutely battered by their right winger. So
I'm right back.
so it's like, what can you do? We've just played against top of the league. We were always going to get smashed. And move on to the next one. We need to get another win.
Surely, though, we can point the finger at Robbins a little bit. I mean, surely he rested on his on his laurels a bit too much. He kind of just sat back and was just like, "Oh, we're just getting battered here." He should have changed it, shouldn't he? Should have changed it within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. But I looked at the team when it came out on my phone, and I thought, yeah, good for you. He's trying to match them, our best against your best, and it absolutely backfired. Yeah, you wonder what Lowe and Tezgao thought. Would they have helped? Possibly not. I've got a little. My theory about it is that it was it a terrible thing to be battered because we've won a few games, we've done okay in the last month or so, and a lot of fans are already starting. Some even said, "Oh, can we make the playoffs, etc." And that's very, very. We've got a core of fans who we suddenly win 2 or 3 matches and they think we're going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But sometimes you need a bit of a reminder that we are very much not even a middle place team. And I've written, were we being lured? Had we lured ourselves into a false sense of security in terms of our players are okay for next year, when in fact they're not, and that Robbins does need to bring in more players so that this doesn't happen again when we play Ipswich next year and other top teams.
Well, you wouldn't have thought we'd play the same formation as Leeds, would you? In that game, you wouldn't have thought it because we did. We did. We played 4-2-3-1, and they play 4-2-3-1. I mean, yeah, sometimes they were playing with a single pivot. I'll admit, right? But oh man, like, what do we need to do differently for the next game? Because we've got Sheffield United on Friday, right? And they are, yeah, okay, they can't go up now. In terms of automatically, they can't go up
Yeah.
automatically. They can still go up through the playoffs. There's talk of them resting player sort of thing, or whispers going around. Surely they'll want to gain a bit of momentum going into that playoffs. And surely if they are resting, quote unquote, resting players, then those players who are coming in are going to be up for it, man. Because they are going to be thinking, if I get on the end of, if I put 4 past Stoke, like Perot, how do you pronounce his name? I should know it because it got mentioned all the time. Banged in 4. If I bang in 4 goals against Stoke, right, then that's me that's me in the team for the playoffs. So I think we need to be
and a game at Wembley. Yeah, game
yeah,
at Wembley.
we need to be so careful thinking, oh, they'll just rest players. It'll be cushy. Nah, it is not.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Sam knows this. They bought so many players that you put an entirely new team, second team out for Sheffield United. Then player for player, pound for pound, they're still going to be better than us, probably worth more than us. But have they played together? That's the thing. So I would hope that they do put a second string team out, even if they are up for it, because we know that the successful teams are teams that know how to play with each other, know, almost subconsciously know where each other is going to be on the pitch. So, is he going to pick 11 individuals who haven't played together? And are we going to come out and put a performance? Really interesting. I just reading this barely an hour ago. There's been a call of arms from Pulis. And
Yeah, I read that too.
I've got a sneaky feeling that Johnny Walters has thought my call to arms won't work anymore. Who else do I know? And I suspect he's got on the old dog and bone and said, Tony, we need you to help us. So I might be wrong. What do you think, Sam? Do you think Tony Pulis has had the call from Johnny Walters? Excuse me.
It's a viable option. I know Shawcross has spoken to Tony prior to taking over interim management to get some advice. Yeah. So obviously Shawcross is another route to Tony. So either or.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, it's all right having a wall of sound, isn't it? But what do we need to do differently on the pitch? Would you go defensive against Sheffield? There's a top 3 team, or would you come out attacking? What would you do? Would you start Bosun Llewellyn up front?
Definitely not. I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed how deep Stoke were playing against Leeds, even after 2-0. All
Uh,
the players were behind the ball, constantly defending. There was no attacking
But we
like
couldn't get out, could
movement.
we? Couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out whatsoever. It was awful. I'd like to see a bit more attacking, even if it means putting two strikers on. I'd like to see Stoke go for it, to be honest with you, because we
Who'd you
need
play, Sam? Who's your two?
Low and Alhamadi.
Right, so you wouldn't play Gallagher up top.
Gallagher had a quite a bad facial injury against Sheffield Wednesday on Friday, which I'm assuming is the reason he was out.
yeah,
So
bit
I
of
don't
real
know how
gash,
long.
real gash. Yeah,
Don't know how long he'll be out for.
Was he
I
on the
hope
It
he's
bench,
might
on.
wasn't
not
he?
be.
He
It
was
was
on the
what?
bench. He was on the bench, wasn't he, against Leeds?
Uh, I, I I don't know. I
Pass.
can't remember. But I would want Gallagher on. Hopefully head strapped up and ready to go. You could even wear one of these helmet things, of course. But yeah, if it's concussion, then obviously no. But if it's a gash and it can be stitched and padded, then I think he'd be up for it, and that might send a message out. I'm here to fight for the team. But I'm a fan of Galley. Maybe it's I'm a bit old fashioned when it comes to strikers, but I quite like one big guy up there
Yeah.
winning the balls.
Sam, you
And
mentioned
they're
Low there. Low. Sam just
yeah.
mentioned Low. Would you
Remember him?
would you have Low and would you seriously bring Low in for that game, Sam?
I'd have Lowen again. Yeah, I think it's unfair that we've brought him back from Warsaw. Warsaw have gone downhill since getting rid of him. Obviously, I'd like to see him play. We know he can score goals. He scored on his first game back to us, and I think he's been left out a bit. He wasn't even on the bench
Mm.
the other night, so I'd like to see him come in.
Right. So you'd
But
have two up top. But Pete would what would you think? Would you go more attacking, Pete? Would you think go two up
yeah,
top?
I just want the wingers to not have to run back and help out the back. I just want them just to get the ball wide and just beat your man, get some crosses in. That's all. That's what I've always wanted teams to do. Again, the old fashioned down the wing, you know, cross it back in, and then you've got your midfielders running in just to tap it in. But we just didn't do it. We I don't think we got any crosses in, certainly for the Leeds match, and that's brought us some success this year. Initially with Kumas, but obviously he's gone off the ball now. But down the wing, cross it in. But I mean, and controversial, but I'd swap Million and Bay just to confuse the defenders on occasions as well, just to get a left footer on the left, right footer. But I don't think anyone would even entertain that idea. Um,
We don't
what
see
made
enough
me
movement up front, Pete. We don't see enough
no,
movement from any of our front
no,
three. They all seem to
no.
stay in their position, and they seem quite what's the word? It seems like you know what they're going to do.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
I'm getting at.
incredibly obvious, and we know. In fact, everyone knows Million's going to cut on his left, and
Mhm.
that Bay's going to cut on his right on most occasions. So you've got to mix it up a bit, and you got to make the defenders think, and they'll be doing the homework. Sheffield, yeah, I'm not sure we'll get anything out of the Sheffield game. Um,
Mm.
I hope, oh God, I hope we do, but I'm not sure we will. I think they'll still stay up. I think there'll be another result elsewhere which will do the trick. But no, I mean Sheffield are up there for a reason, aren't they? And there are two players there who have got reasons to come back and haunt us. Um, I was pleased for Josh Laurent though. You two might not agree with me, but I was quite pleased for Josh Laurent with Burnley. Um,
Yeah, he
he's
went. He
just
went
been
back.
yeah, he's not bragged about it. He's just got on with it and come on, and so he's not our player anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Sam, Pete's mentioned there about wingers. Who would you play? Who would you play on the wing again for next game?
I would play Million Manu from the right, as he's always been playing. But I'd like to see Stoke sort of play slightly differently. and play with sort of wing backs. So I'd like to see Million on the right wing back and Lyndon Gooch on the left wing back because we know that Gooch is a more attacking defender. So putting him in ultimate like left back position would probably not work. So I'm thinking of a five at the back, so a
Right.
5-2-1-2.
Like we've played in the second half of the Leeds game.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how
It,
I'd do it.
oh,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting. Stoke fans, what do you think? What would you play? Who would you pick? I mean, there's all the old questions that are going to be asked before Friday's massive. It's another massive game. There are two massive games. Chaps, are we? Have we done enough? We're on. We are as of today, and we're filming this on the Wednesday, but we're going out on Thursday. As of today, we're in exactly the same position in the league that we
Nice.
were at this time last season. Have we done enough? Have we done enough? Are we we're looking over our shoulders,
Mm.
right? We were looking over our shoulders last season. Last season, at this stage, I felt a lot calmer. I don't know why. I just felt like it was okay. This season, mm, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I just got this awful feeling it's going to come down to that Derby game, and I really don't want it to.
There was some funny odds before the Leeds game. We were 150 to 1 to go down, and we're now 75 to 1 approximately, which still is massive odds, but that shows the sort of lack of confidence in our team. But yeah, I think we've done enough. Just in capitals, just done enough. But after the performance against Leeds, it is worrying. And as the goals were raining in, I was thinking this goal difference is going and going and going. And there's, obviously as Luton was scoring more and more than Derby. Well, Derby's goal difference is better anyway, but Luton's going up. But there's still a fair difference in goals, and I think we'll be all right. I'm confident. One of the things I also a question for you two is out of the 11 who started for Leeds against Leeds, how many will be starting the last but second game for Stoke? So
What do you
out of
mean?
those 11 who started, how many will be playing for Stoke, who's starting for Stoke this time next year?
Oh wow!
I
Hey,
know
hey, I'm going. Let's. That is a great question.
that
Next,
that's a good one.
after when the season ends, right? And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
we're wherever we are, we'll revisit that because that's a
yeah,
really good
yeah.
question.
It's for another day. I agree.
Good question, man. Good question. We'll hold on to that. Just before we finish, Sam, I'll just get your thoughts. Pete's just said there he thinks we're safe. Come on, what do you think, mate?
I think we're just about safe, and I'd like Stoke to send Derby down on the last game of the season.
So do you think it'll be done and dusted by the Derby game? Do you Sam, or do you think we'll have to get something at Derby?
Think it's done and dusted now. I think other teams' results will go off favour just about,
Yeah,
but I
just
would still love to send Derby down the last game of the season. The battle of the A50 and Stoke send them down and we stay up. I think that'd be good.
yeah,
We need
yeah.
either Luton or Derby to pick up no points on the weekend, right? No points. Yeah. Because
Basically,
if either of them don't get a draw, even get a draw,
yeah.
we're good, right? Or especially Luton because of their goal difference. Yeah.
I
So,
think
so
Coventry. One of them's playing Coventry, and
yeah.
for the life of me, I can't remember who.
Hull Derby have got Hull,
Yeah, and
which is a massive
Coventry's
game for them.
huge, and I think Coventry's to guarantee their playoff need to win. I think, or at least get a draw. So I think Coventry might do us a favour
Well, if
and win.
Coventry, here's the thing, right? If Coventry draw
Mm.
with Luton,
Mm.
then Luton is still in with a shot because if they draw and win, they'll be on the same points total as us, won't they? Right? But their goal difference is then to watch,
Yeah,
right? Because the other thing is, if Coventry, because I think West Brom have got Luton on the final game of the season. The Baggies have got Luton on the final game, I think. And if Coventry lose, West Brom have still got a chance of making the playoffs.
Wow.
If Coventry draw, then West Brom have got no hope of playoffs. So it won't make a difference for that last game for them against Luton. So that's something to think. And Derby, obviously, they've got Hull, and then they've got us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The best result on Monday
Got other teams in there as well.
Was the Cardiff draw. And I couldn't believe it when Cardiff, well, obviously Cardiff went 1-0 up, and then Oxford equalised. It was an incredible shot from outside the box, Brannigan. And that I think made us safe, because that meant Cardiff couldn't catch us, Plymouth couldn't catch us, and then obviously there's one place left for hopefully Derby.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens after the weekend. Right, I think we've come to the end of our show. Thanks everybody for watching. If you made it this far, please hit the like and subscribe button, would you? Because that would do us all a big favor, and more subscriptions needed for the channel. Also, today's video has been sponsored by Match Bingo. There is a QR code in the corner. There's a link in the description. Over 18s and UK only, and that is Match Bingo, which is the combination of bingo with live sport. So yeah, go check it out and follow the link, follow the QR code, so they know you've gone through us. Thank you. There we go. Right, that's it. So I think we'll do the rounds. So it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye
from me. And I'll say goodbye from me again.
Hey, there we go. One day it will be super smooth.
One day we'll get it right.
We'll just get it right. But until then, thanks everybody for tuning in to another podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV. Big thanks to Pete the Potter and Sam. And we will see you all on another podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV. Go on, Stoke.
Go on, Stoke.
Go on, Stoke.